So we're jumping back into Jarnail Singh's testimony to the Post Office inquiry, and it seems some key advice from the Post Office counsel from Warwick Tatford is mishandled, and that a request from the defence to understand whether there was any issues with Horizon that were Fujitsu was aware of gets translated into anything that Gareth Jenkins is aware of. How did that happen? Let's jump into the inquiry.
Okay, we'll move on. 1st of February, please. FUJ 0015 2902. And if we scroll down, please. Sorry, it's over the page. Thank you. John Longman to Penny Thomas. At a pre-court hearing today, the judge ordered that all the defence requests for further information be answered by 4 p.m. on Monday, the 8th of February. Our solicitor in the case has asked that Gareth's statement is completed by Wednesday of this week so that he and our barrister can examine the statement. Just stopping there, the solicitor in the case, that would be you, would it?
Yeah.
Gareth's statement needs to cover the following 4 points. 1, our defence barristers asked for all of Gareth's replies in relation to the defence's second interim report to be produced in a witness statement. That's essentially repeating the email that we saw earlier. 2, my barrister telephoned me yesterday evening and requested I find out any information that Fujitsu may hold in relation to an office called Calendar Square in Falkirk. Apparently Anne Chambers, a systems specialist employed by Fujitsu, was cross-examined, etc., etc. Our barrister would like Gareth to deal with this matter and expand upon whatever issue Anne Chambers raised at court. So remember, that reflects paragraph 6 of Mr. Tatford's advice. Agreed?
Well, yes, yeah.
Okay. And then third, when Gareth completes his statement, could he also mention whether there are any known problems with the Horizon system that Fujitsu are aware of? If none.
So it's interesting there because that was Warwick Tatford's advice before, doesn't it? So it does seem John Longman's picked up on that. I'm guessing having had the discussion with Warwick Tatford there, because he said my barrister telephoned me yesterday. So even though Jarnail Singh's missed it, it appears they've kind of short-circuited him and actually asked the question eventually.
Could this be clarified in the statement? That's different from what Mr. Tatford had advised, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Of course it is.
What do you notice about the difference?
In hindsight, yes, but at that moment, I don't know what it was. But certainly, if you, I can't recall word for word what that was. But if you bring the other one up, and then you can see that there is a difference. There is a marked difference.
Let's do the right-hand side thing again. Left-hand side, poll 304 4557, page 3, paragraph 7. Paragraph 7.
Horizon errors.
So compare paragraph 7, left-hand side, to paragraph 3.
There appears to be something missing, isn't there? I don't know whether. System what Fujitsu are aware of. Oh, yes. Error. Yeah, that Horizon error should be in there, yes.
Sorry, I can't hear you.
Yeah, there is obviously a difference. Yeah,
What differences do you notice?
Well, the Horizon errors, it doesn't say anything about that, does it? Horizon system that Fujitsu are aware of. It says it doesn't mention errors.
Well, the first thing is that the advice from Mr. Tatford is that it should be a request made to Fujitsu, yes?
Yes.
That's been translated into a request for a mention by an individual, namely Gareth Jenkins.
Very sharp. That is indeed true, isn't it? I was looking and thinking, well, the wording's slightly different, but the substance is the same. But they're right. It has been directed specifically towards Gareth Jenkins, which may or may not be appropriate. However, it relies on his knowledge, I guess, rather than the company's knowledge, which could be greater than his own personal knowledge as an employee of Fujitsu.
Jenkins. They're different things, aren't they?
Now looking at it with the time, careful focus, yes.
It's a watering down, isn't it?
It shouldn't be, but it is what it is. I to be honest, now that we got the time and being able to focus on it, and you've certainly highlighted it, yes. But I can't recall what we did at that particular moment, or or the way it came back, or whether we did anything after that. I don't know, but I can't explain that to you, because I don't remember, I don't recall.
So presumably there, the inference is that he could say, well, I don't have any personal knowledge, and I guess that gives a bit of plausible deniability. Kind of. I mean, because if he's a systems engineer and he's an expert, non-expert, then actually you'd think he was aware, but I guess things going into the helpline might not necessarily go to him, so therefore he might not be aware of it. So there's a difference between directing the question directly to him versus the company more broadly. That may be something Gareth Jenkins chose to do, of course, but it does leave open that potential for misinterpretation of the question being asked.
Did you have any input into how the question was reformulated? That it was turned from a request to ask Fujitsu, the corporation, of whether it was aware of any other horizon error in any sub-post office, to a request to an individual to mention if there are any known problems that Fujitsu are aware of?
I don't recall.
You can't recall whether you had any input into the reformulation of the question?
That bit, I obviously, that is, John Longman's email, but certainly I don't recall as to what transpired after that.
Do you agree that the request that's now directed to Mr. Jenkins has conflated the separate issues of a response to the defence expert report and the Post Office's own response to the defence's request for disclosure, in respect of which Mr. Tatford had advised?
So long, I can't explain, because I haven't got the details, or 10 years on, 12 years on.
Well, I guess they're not really asking for an explanation there. Jason Beer seems to be asking, can you not see there's a difference between them, and can you understand how that difference could be misconstrued and actually result in full disclosure that the defence have requested not occurring?
It's different, but I mean, I can't answer that. I don't know. To answer to your question, I don't recall, and I can't really answer that.
Were you aware at the time of a prosecutor's duties in respect of third-party disclosure or obtaining material from a third party?
But you mean internally or generally? How do you mean?
I'm afraid I can't express it any better than that, even if I rearrange the words in the sentence.
I don't know at the moment. I can't tell you what the duties were. Maybe at that time, certainly I would have been. But I mean, to look at it in that much depth and detail now, I don't know. I mean, the answer to that, I don't recall where we were.
Would you agree?
But I appreciate it doesn't work in criminal law anymore, like he says, but I'm pretty sure he said that he was, or showed in his CV that he was still working as a solicitor. I mean, again, I'm not a lawyer, but presumably there's disclosure duties in any area of law. Surely there's requests in civil law, in conveyancing, he said he was in, requests to disclose information. Maybe a lawyer can let us know.
That when a prosecutor is approaching a third party in order to assist it, the prosecutor, in discharging its disclosure obligations, it should explain to the third party that it is doing so, and the importance of the third party conducting inquiries itself that are both recorded and auditable, in order that the prosecutor can then explain to the court what it has and hasn't done to discharge its disclosure obligations.
I can't recall as to whatever you're asking me. Purely at that time, I would have assumed so, because I've been up to date with a lot of the legislation or a lot of the requirements, but I can't answer to now, moving on, because all the information you provided, and now it's completely different in the sense that I had the chance to look at it, but even then my head is not with the prosecution hat on it or head on it, purely trying to assist the best I can the inquiry.
Would you agree that a prosecutor seeking disclosure from a third party should explain to the third party the nature of the duties that both it, the prosecutor, and the third party were under? Give some guidance to it.
I don't know. I don't recall as to what the relationship is here within Fujitsu in partnership. I mean, I say I don't got involved in the contractual or commercial side of the business as to how we went about getting information on Fujitsu, and but certainly I years on now, I can't tell you what I knew then or I didn't know at that particular moment in time, so I can't assist you any more than what I've just said.
Do you agree that this watering down that we see here essentially means that what was advice from counsel to ask a corporation whether it was aware of any other Horizon issue at any other sub-post office has been turned into a rather casual request to an individual that they might mention anything in their witness statement of problems of which Fujitsu was aware?
Well, that what it appears to be, but as to what the reality was at that particular moment years ago, I don't know. But certainly from the information you've given me, I can't really give you much detailed.
In any event, this didn't, on the face of it, amount to an instruction to Gareth Jenkins as an expert witness in the case, did it?
Well, as you said, that email's not copied to me, so I'm not aware as to what whether Gareth. Well, he's obviously saying Gareth Jenkins should deal with it, but certainly I can't give you any more detail than the fact that I don't know.
I mean, taking a step back, would you agree overall that what we've seen so far is that the Post Office appears to be proceeding on the basis that it needs some information from Fujitsu in order to disclose its obligations as a prosecutor by way of disclosure, and that has been conflated with a request being made to Mr. Jenkins to provide a response to a defence expert report? That's what it looks like, doesn't it?
Well, it looks that way, but I can't say for sure as to. A lot of the time, as the information comes, and then you look at it, you review it, and then you flesh it out a little bit more. I mean, that's how some of the information is dealt with, but I can't really assist you or the inquiry any further than what's in front of you.